If you just put your mind to it and get out of your own way, you can make anything you want come true.
I just try to do what I can with what I have and try to write surrounding that.
I'm a cinematographer first and a writer second, and I have to really balance myself on that, not just make everything, it just looks pretty. No, there's got to be like actual story there too.
I believe that films are powerful when they're able to touch the soul. And I believe that every single one of the films we watched tonight did that in such a powerful way.
So this is Nader, and this is what I'm reading on his behalf. Since we are at the BraveMaker Festival, I want to be brave and say these 3 words in the microphone with my own voice.
The BraveMaker community to me is family. It's all of us. We're all telling stories and standing up for something.
I want to create space for filmmakers, for audiences, and for connection. And I do it because if I don't, who will?
We all make films because we want to tell stories that inspire and that connect. And BraveMaker gives you that opportunity to actually be with your actual audience and be able to see their reactions and react with them.
BraveMaker Festival is one of a kind. Everyone who comes to BraveMaker really cares about their craft, their background, their stories. Everyone has something to share, and definitely BraveMaker is a community where people are connected.
Everyone's just been so welcoming and so genuine. It's just so nice to be in this community, and everyone's just working really hard at what they're passionate about.
Tony has done just an amazing job with organizing this film festival, done a lot of panels and experienced a lot of great films. It's been a great experience.
Everything he does is to elevate important topics, important voices, inclusion. Now he has people here doing sign language. So to me, being a BraveMaker is impact, inclusion. I love what BraveMaker is about.
It's about working within the box. What are the parameters? So it's knowing who you are, what you can do, what you can pull off, and using those resources to the best of your advantage.
We can see all around us the reason why BraveMaker needs to exist, so that we can celebrate Bay Area filmmakers and Bay Area stories.
I just appreciate festivals like this that allow for us Bay Area filmmakers to showcase our work and to be appreciated by, homegrown audience.
So I am asking everyone to make sure that we continue festivals like this and donate to this brother that is making change happen.
Jessica Musgrave! And I know that if I can benefit from it, if I can feel celebrated for my storytelling, then other people will too, because I'm trying to create and make space for people to be brave, because I need it, and I know the world needs it too.
I am a BraveMaker.
I am a BraveMaker.
I'm a BraveMaker.
We are BraveMakers.
hosted by Tony Gapastione. Thanks for tuning in. It's showtime.
Hey, happy podcast. It is episode 286. This is Tony Gapastione coming at you live. I'm in Redwood City, California. Today and most days, I am an actor, filmmaker, and director. I'm the founder of BraveMaker. My pronouns are he, him, his. And every Thursday, I get to talk to creators and makers who are shaping culture, putting out cool stories out in the world. I just got back from South by Southwest last week and had some time to meet some great people in Texas. I had never been to Austin before. My first feature that I got in to South by got selected in 2020. We all know what happened then. So it took me 5 years to be able to get back with another feature. So I really love my husband. Congratulations to Gigi Hawkins, our director that we were partnering with, to see her film on the big screen. It was super, super fun. But along the way, I got to, taste some good barbecue and scoot around. I scooted, miles upon miles in Austin, Texas. It's very different than Sundance, which I am accustomed to. It was hot, number one, and there was everything, film and music and tech things. And I went to this party at I think it was called the White Horse. It was a bar put on by new friends from Buffalo 8. And I met some cool filmmakers, and someone was like, "Oh, you got to meet Peter. Peter's got a feature coming out." So I'm excited to welcome today feature filmmaker and fellow Italian, Peter Pardini. Welcome,
That's
Peter.
right.
Yeah, baby.
Thank you for having me.
Heck yeah, dude. Well, why don't you give us your origin story? Introduce yourself, where you're based, anything you want to say about how you got into this wild industry.
Man, it just seems like it keeps becoming a longer and longer story, but I'll try to be as brief as possible. I'm originally from California and have been making movies since, grade school pretty much. But I would say the quote real movies that I've made, short films and stuff, started around 2006, 2007. And I've really just been trying to improve myself every year and make something new and different. And along the way, finding my voice as a filmmaker. And it's really led to, at this point, being able to make something last year, a couple of years ago, that's just now coming out, that I feel like is the first time I've really been able to fully make something that is me, but like not on the nose so much that it's obvious that it's me. And I'm really proud of it. And just been a really long ride, but I feel like it's going the way I want it to.
Long rides is I think, common trait in this industry. Like, I know some people who it seems like it has gone super quick, but even when it seems quick, they've put a lot of time in mostly. So I definitely feel that with you. So before we jump into Man on a Rant, which is your feature film coming out in a couple weeks here, how would you say, your career has been crafted? Like you did music videos and documentary stuff, narrative. Obviously, you've got a lot of things under your belt. You're in Sedona, Arizona right now, working on some stuff. You're living in, so what was like the initial project or projects, and how did you start to define yourself? Like, I am a director.
Well, first, growing up, I would always bug family about movies and have this delusion in, high school that I could talk to my family and see if they knew anybody in the industry who could help me make the big movie when I was, 16 or 17. And that led to, right after college, my uncle was one of the newer members of the band Chicago. And they happened to be looking for, right when I left film school, a filmmaker to make a behind the scenes piece for their Christmas album that they were recording. And so I got the chance to go out to Nashville and make a short, behind the scenes view at them making an album. And that turned into then me going on the road with them. And that turned into me being able to make a documentary about the 50-year career the 50-year career of Chicago. And then at this point, that's where I'm in Sedona right now, is at the trumpet player Lee Lochnane's house, his studio here. And I'm mixing a documentary that I just finished. So it's, this industry, as it's all about it's all about relationships. Everyone says it's who you know, but that's really kind of a reductionist look at it. It's about relationships. And if you know people and they trust you, that's really what the kind of non-family nepotism of the business is people helping each other because they've built a relationship. So
yeah, I love that relationship part of this industry. I really do. It does feel, when it's not manipulative and dirty, because it can be, especially when you go to these festivals, because people they're just kind of like, who can I get something out of? When it really feels like, hey, how can I mutually benefit someone else? What are the things that I offer that would complement well with others? That's really cool. So you do this documentary work for the band Chicago, which is, that's like a huge audience. And I had this in my mind. I want to talk to you about this as you release Man on a Rant. I hear a lot about like defining audience, right? Who are the things that we are making for? And of course, I want everybody to watch my stuff. I want everybody, but the reality is not everything is for everyone. Can you talk a little bit about how you understand that as you're making things and how you connect with your audience and what that looks like?
Yes, and you do develop a thick skin, and I was lucky to develop the thick skin early with them because I was I think I was 30 when that documentary came out, but I'd already been working for them for about 5 years at that point, and 6 years. And you do see that even though Chicago is the biggest American rock group of all time in terms of sales, I believe, for their albums, you would be shocked at how many people you meet on the street if you tell them, oh, I work for the band Chicago. They don't necessarily know that they're still touring or anything about the history. So you really do kind of get this audience, or maybe you don't get the audience, but you have this ingrown audience who knows everything about it. And then hopefully if you make a good movie over time, more people see it and they're learning something about the band behind, the music that they still hear every single day on the radio. And so, I made another documentary about health that came a couple of years after that. And that's a whole different niche of people that know everything about that area. And then there's a lot of people saw it, and then there's a whole swath of the entire country that has no clue it exists. So you really learn that the movie comes first, and you have to make something that's really, really good, so that even if the initial burst is big, it's always going to die back down. And then over time, you can kind of go back, and I'm guilty of it. I go back and look and see if people have talked about the movie in a while. And there'll be a comment from 3 weeks ago, and someone will say, wow, this is really good. And you're past that stage of being in the mode of telling everybody about your movie, and then it's just some stranger that saw it, and that's really cool. And that's, I think, that what keeps driving me is complete strangers seeing the movie and connecting with it.
Yeah, that's an interesting. You led with the thick skin, because there are times when I've made one feature film, my second one we're casting right now, and there are still people who I will hear that have not watched my first. And they'll say, I've been meaning to get to it. I'm like, it's been out for like almost going on 3 years now. But I get it. There's just so many things out there. And so developing that thick skin and just trusting that it finds who it needs to find, I think is huge. Before we jump into Man on a Rant, do you want to talk a little bit about what's your thoughts around the marketing element? Obviously there are marketing departments and stuff, but as indie filmmakers, we do a lot of it, or, we're on a shoestring budget, so we're all figuring out how to make it. But any thoughts on marketing your movies to get seen by audiences?
Yeah, it's so narratively for me, my narrative films have all been extremely low budget, and the marketing for those is nearly impossible because you don't have the budget for it. And you're trying to think, well, what if we post this on Instagram? Maybe it'll go viral, and it never does. I've been very fortunate that with my documentaries, there's ingrown marketing with a group like Chicago. And, we were lucky enough that I believe the head of CNN was the biggest Chicago fan. And we got onto CNN. My first big documentary got onto CNN on New Year's Day, January 2017. And they were promoting it nonstop. So that was completely out of my hands and had nothing to do with it. And then other times you get lucky, like with the health documentary, a lot of people who are in the health world shared it on Instagram or X or Twitter back then. And, and they had a huge following. So if you have someone with 1 million followers tweeting it out, I mean, even if you get less than 1% of those people to go watch the movie. So it's different from movie to movie. And with Man Goes on Rant, it's like, you know, doing podcasts and talking to people and seeing if one person sees it, and if they like it, they'll go tell another person. There's nothing better than word of mouth.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I love doing this show is I'm learning about filmmakers, I'm learning about their work, and then I also get to help promote people's work because I want to do the things that I want people to do for me, you know? So for 286 episodes, if you're just joining in, we are talking to filmmaker Peter Pardini, and he is talking about his directorial work and his documentary work, and he has a new feature film coming out soon. So Peter, let's hear about Man on a Rant. How would you describe this film? And I also thought, who are the perfect audience for you for this work?
This one is, you know, I have been for a while conceiving of this project because during the beginning of COVID, I was at home like everybody else and just kind of thinking about what I could do with my spare time. And it's kind of a sick version of fun, but I thought, what if I could make a documentary for free, and a completely archival documentary? I could take basically news, film, cultural clips from YouTube and archive.org and see if I could string together a story from 2000 all the way to 2020 showing American history specifically, not have any interviews, no context other than the clips you're seeing on screen. And it would kind of cut around like a Robot Chicken type thing where it would be random spots throughout history, but chronological. And it was a very intense story, obviously, because we've all lived through it. And at a certain point in 2022, at the end of 2022, I thought, well, what if I could make a narrative film about a guy making that movie and kind of put a backstory to that character? And, you know, it had been 3 years already since COVID had began. And I thought, well, if this comes out in a year or 2 years, we're going to be 5 years away from the beginning of coronavirus. And here we are now, 5 years away from it. And this movie, Man Goes on Rant, is coming out. And it really, the main, you know, theme and purpose behind the movie is to show kind of a faceless person who, or a nameless person, I should say, who represents all of us in a way. Because nobody in the movie has a name except for a few people, and there's reasoning behind that. But it's kind of trying to put people back into the mindset of, this wasn't a thing that happened to one person. It was a thing that happened to everybody in different ways. And I'm really, really proud of it because we shot it in 8 days. Wow. It cost us a little over $40,000. And that meant I had to do almost everything, pretty much everything before getting to set and before getting the crew to come and help for 8 days, and then everything afterwards. So it was a very...
You're in the film as well. You put yourself in the film.
I'm in a couple scenes as like a guy on Zoom, or, you know, but that was the necessity of it. A lot of the Zoom stuff in the movie is old, like Zoom stuff that I had recorded throughout, you know, lockdown or whatever you want to call it. And I asked the people, I said, hey, I have the video of this. Could I put this in the movie and make it seem like it was shot for the movie?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So...
yeah, it's a really unique film, dude. Like taking it in, I was like, it felt very meta. It felt very like the whole archival, and I think the title "Man on a Rant" is a great title because there is a lot of ranting happening, you know, in the film. And it's also, there was a what did I write down? There was a line. Oh, I'm going through my own challenge right now, going through some very challenging moments. I'm a filmmaker myself, and there's one moment where he's just kind of like muttering this mantra, like, I'm a filmmaker and I'm gathering myself. I'm a filmmaker and I'm gathering myself. And I thought, as I'm watching this, you know, you've got these clips from like, you know, going back to 9/11, to the pandemic, you're talking about Trump and Obama and government and all these things. And, you know, if you're watching right now, either live or on the replay on our YouTube channel or wherever you're watching, LinkedIn, you can see some of these things that we're playing here as we're talking. And it really is like, right now, 2025, as we're recording this, March 2025, like the world just seems like, I mean, making sense of it is wild. And yeah. I thought this film really expresses what I think a lot of people are feeling like they do. We do want to go on a rant. We do feel a little bit like our mental health, not a little bit, our mental health is very much impacted right now.
Yeah. We had a water cooler talk before COVID and before the internet. And I think now what's happened is that news and things that used to just be the stuff that was happening in the world is now our entertainment. And there's nothing to talk about except for the news. And the thing that I really am proud of the most in this movie is that it does I wanted people to just see history and not have really like an opinion put on it, because it makes you feel these weird feelings when you're just seeing history play out and just kind of stating exactly what's happening or what happened. And you can kind of see, especially in the scene that's playing right now, you can see a lot of the people are really uncomfortable with the main character is like talking about all these current historical events, because they don't know if he's gonna say something that's maybe gonna get him in trouble or gonna make them uncomfortable. And everybody is like in this weird spot right now where all we can talk about is politics and news. And at the same time, you're not supposed to talk about politics and news. And we don't really know which way we're supposed to go. And that feeling, I think, that's pretty on the head in the movie. It's there, but
Yeah, kudos. I really appreciated that. It feels like a big swing. It's a real cool creative swing. And so anybody who wants to make a feature film, the inspiration I took from it too is going, 8 days is not a lot of time. I made my first one in 13 and a half, and we're doing our next one in about 25 or 30. And it's like you never have enough time, but 8 days, you can make something in 8 days. You can make something that is creative. You use a lot of archival footage. You're doing a lot of unique things on the screen. You're also saying something, and you're giving people an outlet to express frustration. And I think, speaking of water cooler, this is a film that if you watch it, you almost got to pause it a couple times. Like, what did I just watch? What was just happening? And I was like, my mind was boggled and blown with some of the archival stuff that you had in there, like making these kind of connections was really, really fascinating. I was like, oh my gosh. And the other thing I really identified with too is, the filmmaking end of it, like, which is the meta thing. So you have a lot of like filmmaker talk and, the main character making a movie like this. So if you're a filmmaker and you're listening or watching, I really feel like this is something that, there's an audience there. And I always think about my audience as being people who are creating too, because I want people to be inspired and to go out and make stuff. And then there's always that secondary or tertiary audience that, my film usually goes for people who care about mental health or want to process life's biggest questions, the ones that kind of seem taboo. So yeah, I definitely identified with the work that you're putting out there on screen. And can you talk about the release of it, or just kind of the practical, technical for filmmakers? You said, thank you for sharing your budget, because not everybody wants to share that, but $40,000 is, a great amount of money to have. But comparatively, it's not a lot to make something. So how would you describe the making of it? Your pre and your post, and then film. Did you do any film festivals? And then how'd you get distribution?
Yeah, I mean, the $40,000. The reason I'm sharing that now is because we got our distribution, and it's there's no reason to hide it anymore. I mean, everyone always tells you don't share your budget, because then it's already done. And I think it helps people to understand you can make something for this, and again, it goes back to the relationship thing, is being able to call on friends and people who are talented to kind of come and help you more than they usually would, to make something that they care about too. And so we shot this in June of 2023, and I wanted to get it finished because I wanted to kind of have that manic energy of making the movie just like the character in the movie. And the movie was finished by August, and we had a screening in Austin at the Austin Film Society, a private screening for friends and family. And I had the dream of getting into South by Southwest. And as from the past, it's like all these festivals that are the big ones, there's maybe tens of thousands of people submitting. So even if you've made a movie set in Austin about a person from Austin, about filmmakers with locations in the area, it's not guaranteed to get in, even if it's good. And so at a certain point, I just made a decision. We got into the Sedona Film Festival, which I have a relationship with from the past. And then we got into a new film festival in Austin called the Comedy Film Festival. And then after that, I just decided, I don't want to keep waiting for the big hitters to come and find me. I went with another relationship I've had in the past with Gravitas Ventures, who I've released and done very well with past documentaries to release the film, because it is much easier to let a distributor handle all of the logistics of it rather than doing it myself, even if a percentage is taken. And because of our low budget, I mean, it has a good chance, I think, over the next few years to recoup those costs for my investors. But it's just, I like constant movement. And when things feel like they're stagnating with a project, just make a decision and get it out there so people can actually see the thing you worked on. Because I know the movie's good. I've had very good feedback from people that have seen it. And, the one thing I want people to see is Brian Villalobos' performance as the lead character. He does these long rants. I mean, long 3-4 page dialogue scenes that could easily lose an audience. And we just shot it with 4 and 5 cameras, and he nailed them. And he is so convincing and believable as this person. And I'm really excited that it's finally coming out.
Yeah, it definitely felt like I wondered how much was on the page and how much was just coming, because this guy had, I mean, literally, he is just talking. Like, there's a lot of talking happening, and that is a lot for an actor to have to bring to life, especially when you're shooting in such a short amount of time. As an actor myself, I know, like, when I have 4 or 5 pages on the day, or 10 pages that happens on a day, it's a lot. You're like portioning out, like, memorization and all the different things. So yeah, huge kudos to the acting that he had to pull off. How much would you say, his ranting was riffing, and how much would you say, which I'm sure a lot of it was on the page, but did he feel like he was bringing new things and other things? Talk about that process and collaboration with him.
Yeah, Brian is by far the best actor that I've ever worked with. And to give him credit, 85 to 90% of this movie is scripted. It's almost, I'm not a director who says it has to be word for word or word perfect or all that, but he responded to the script, and it's pretty close to word for word for most of the movie. The one scene, the studio scene that comes towards the end that was just playing earlier with him ranting to the people about past historical events on the soundstage, that one we shot like a mockumentary. And I basically told everyone that came to set nothing about what was going to happen. They were just coming to shoot this fake commercial, and that's all they knew. They knew that they were there to film a commercial, and Brian had a backstory about what he was supposed to do. And so that day, really was confusing for a lot of people because they had no idea what was going on. And if you were an outsider on set that day, you probably thought, wow, this guy has no clue what he's doing. This is going to be a mess. And that's by design. You want people to be behaving the way you want them to behave. And one of my pet peeves about mockumentaries is that they always seem a little bit scripted. And so that was the one scene where it had to be him kind of spouting off and everyone just kind of like, I don't know what's going on. But to give Brian credit, he nailed all of those scenes, and it was mostly scripted throughout the movie.
That's great. Yeah. Super fun. Good work, Brian. Hope you hear this and see this, and hope that this film gets out there and works for your investors. Great. How much is all on all the places? Like, what is it? $5, $10? What is the rental fee going on for Man on a Rant?
Well, I was lucky to have 2 investors who have watched me grow over the past 15 years of filmmaking. And it was a fortunate situation where, we do have an agreement, and we have, hopefully they make their money back, but it wasn't hardball. They wanted to help me out and wanted to see me succeed. So I certainly hope they make their money back, because that's, you want the people who help you to be helped as well. But
yeah,
this is the first time I've ever really had that happen for me, where it's been that few people and not have to like go scrounge around, you know?
Yeah, that's beautiful. But is it on, when does it come out exactly? What day? And on all the places like Apple and iTunes? I mean,
April 8th.
Amazon?
And it's available for pre-order now on iTunes. But it comes out on Amazon, all TV, VOD and all that stuff on the 8th, April 8th.
April 8th. Okay, so usually these are like what, 5, 10, 12? What's the rental fee? Do you know?
I think right now the pre-order is $12.99, and then with Gravitas in the past, when it's released, it's usually $12.99 and then $5.99 or $3.99 or something. But they'll do flash sales, and then after 3 months, if people want to wait, it comes out on Tubi probably, and it'll be free to watch. I'm sure at some point. But yeah,
That's great. Well, this is a great way to support independent filmmakers, everybody. So go check out Peter's feature film and support it, and follow Peter at, it's Peter Curtis Pardini. Is that right? Is that your Instagram handle?
That's correct.
Yeah. Awesome. We like to build relationships. And as Peter was saying at the very beginning, so much of this business is that connecting point, right? So if you're in Austin, Peter's living there. If you go to South by, I went to the Austin Film Society event in Austin too, and it was so cool. What a cool facility they have. So loved meeting you, man, and hearing about this project. And I know this means, we'll hopefully cross paths again. Consider, BraveMaker a new partner and connection with you now for your next film and film festival needs if you want to come to the Bay Area in California and Northern California. Anything else you want to say about the filmmaking process that you would share out to people who are out there listening who want to make movies? Anything like best tips, director, best practices, do's, don'ts, investing, anything before we go into our last segment?
Yes, I think simply it's you might be able to find people who are going to help you and give you their time for the time of the shooting, but you're going to be best off learning as much as you can about the filmmaking process so that you don't have to rely on anybody in the pre and post-production phases, so that you can actually see the film through for yourself. Because one of the big things that I see for filmmakers is that they get to actually shoot a movie and then don't know what to do after. They can't get someone to edit it. They can't get someone to color correct it. They can't get someone to do the sound design. And it's like, well, maybe you can't do color because I have a colorist, but you can edit it. You should learn how to edit and just build these skills over time. And then you won't need to, you could finish the movie yourself, and we're all happy.
Yeah, so much of it is what can you do, right? Because I remember when I was first starting out, I was only acting at that point, and I felt like I had no control.
Yeah,
I just was hoping somebody would book me, until I went to Sundance, got inspired, and started talking to friends who were like, just write your own stuff, start directing, produce something, put yourself in your own movies. And then all of a sudden the light bulbs, oh my gosh, yeah. Now, do I like doing all of the things? Not necessarily. I'm not liking editing as much, but can I? Yeah. So it really is, especially now in this time, like there's so much out there. And I think it really is about self-creating and making and this entrepreneurial mindset of filmmaking to get stuff done. So that's great, dude. Thank you so much for sharing that. And let's do our final segment where we share our favorite thing of the week.
Brave Faves. TV shows, films, books, songs, technology, clothing, podcast, food, and more. These are a few of our favorite people, places, and things. Brave Faves.
All right, so like the rest of the world seems to be watching, my favorite thing of the week is our White Lotus season 3, and it is quite a journey if you are a White Lotus fan. Murder and mystery and rich people doing bad things, but also learning from them as they travel to all these exotic locations from Hawaii to Italy and now Thailand. Or as one of the characters says, Taiwan. So I want to highlight Mike White's writing, his character development. I'm someone who wants to write TV and episodic. So as I'm watching the show, I'm just like, this is really good and juicy, and the characters are complicated, and there's so many characters too, and he does a really good job interweaving them together. So this is on HBO Max. So check it out. All right, what you got, Peter? What's your favorite thing of the week?
I feel like the other faction of what everyone's watching now is Severance, and that's pretty much the only thing I've had time to watch in the last 6-7 weeks. And it's the same thing. It's just so well done, and it's rare to see something that richly communicated through writing and cinematography and acting, where it all comes together into something that feels like it's moving. I love that every episode has a cliffhanger. I love that something happens in every episode, because a lot of the time these shows can kind of just drone on because they have to fill out 10 episodes or whatever each season has. And this one feels like, I still have no idea what's going on in that show. I mean, to a certain extent I do, but it is really convincingly done to where even if you're lost, you know that that's by design, and you stay to see what the hell's going on.
So great. Yeah, I'm putting together some clues myself as I'm going down the rabbit holes with people, and my daughters, our whole family watches it, so my daughters will send me these little theories, and it's like, oh, this is so good. So I just hope we don't have to wait 3 years for season 3 as we did for season 2.
Yeah, that would be beneficial for all
yeah,
of us.
come on, Ben.
Right when it aired the last time, I was like, come on.
Yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much for jumping on the show. Good luck to you with all of your sound work you're doing in Sedona on your next project. And again, if we can do anything to help out, let us know. Everybody, make sure you follow Peter Curtis Pardini on Instagram. Go rent man on a rant and let him know what you think, and go make your stuff. Peter, don't go away. Everybody, let me share what's coming down the pike. We have Noam Kroll next week on episode 287, also an independent filmmaker who has a podcast himself called Show Don't Tell. Excited to have him. He's a feature filmmaker who makes a lot of low budget stuff. Don't forget, we have our first ever, maybe annual, comedy and variety show coming up to raise funds for our film festival. That's Sunday, March 30th. We have America's Got Talent comedian Willie Mack going to be there from LA. And we also have Leah Knauer, one of our favorite, who's also a former BraveMaker honoree from 2024, going to do some live comedy. I will be there. We will be doing some sketch. We have some live music by Emily Nightingale and some others. So don't miss out. We only have 40 some tickets left. It's open bar and great dinner at the Irish Alhambra House. We also have a screenwriting class coming up with Justin Lee from Lord Miller. Justin did all the Spider-Verse films. He is a creative consultant, really good at theme and constructing powerful stories that are profoundly character driven. So if you have a script that you want to work, or you just want to get a high level understanding of screenwriting and storytelling, April 12th on Zoom, anywhere in the world, go to bravemaker.com/events. And we have so many things. Our acting school has 7 more spots left for the academy class starting in 2 weeks. Get involved. We'll be in LA on March 28th in Studio City at the Aroma Cafe, and at USC on April 11th. So you're like, stop, there's so many things on the calendar. Go sign up on our email list, check out our Instagram. All that stuff is out there. Why do we do these things? Because we want to educate and entertain and create community with film. That's our mission. Just like Peter was saying, we're trying to help you develop relationships that then propel you into achieving your creative goals. All right. Follow me at Tony Gapastione on all the socials. I would love to hear from you. Make sure you're liking, and subscribing to our YouTube channel, BraveMaker.org, and all the places. And there's so many other cool things coming up. I don't have enough time to tell you about the free video series called Magnetic Mindset that we just emailed out everybody today, with 25 creative pros from all around the country talking about how you can achieve your goals. Man. All right, I'm going to stop because I'm tired now. But thank you, Peter, for being a part of this. Please let me know again what we can do for you. And we will see you on the next one, man. Take care.
Thank you so much.
You got it, dude. All right, brave stories change the world, and you are the story. Bye, everybody.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at BraveMaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word BraveMaker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.